January 11th.
1945. Northern Luzon. 2 American Mustangs against 13 Japanese aircraft. In less than 6 minutes, 10 of the Japanese aircraft had been shot down, while the 2 Mustangs escaped without serious damage. This is the story of the man. And he was not a fighter pilot. He was an undertaker.
Jeanette, Pennsylvania. A back team. Or
1940 team. A back room in a funeral parlor, lit by a single overhead bulb. The tile floor is rest in a shallow tray beside a porcelain table. On the table lies a body, and beside the body stands, in a white apron, 22 years old with careful hands and quiet eyes.
drain tans.
His name is William Arthur Shomo. He is a student at the Cincinnati College of Embalming, and before that, the Pittsburgh School of Embalming. He has spent 3 years learning how to prepare the dead for burial. He knows how to close the mouth. He knows how to hide the marks of a hard death.
Dud, word.
Kirigaser. He knows how to. Their father. Look at their father into something they can carry with them. In less than 4 years, the same hands would help destroy 10 Japanese aircraft, in less them credited to Shomo himself. But William chose minute over Dunmo himself. Tonight, he wipes his instruments clean. Tonight, he wipes his in a hook by the door, once out into the Pennsylvania winter.
The year is 1941.
On the 19th of August, William Shomo signs his name to the enlistment papers of the United States Army Air Forces Aviation Cadet Program.
He is 23 years old. No less sins.
He wants to fly fighters, the funeral profession, and entered the Army Air Forces. But surviving records do not clearly explain what motivated that decision. Basic
training.
Primary flight school. Advanced training. On the 7th of March, 1942, he is commissioned a second lieutenant. He earns his pilot's wings.
Then Chad of Prager.
Then, the Army sends him to Louisiana. Then Georgia, then Texas. For 2 years he flies training aircraft over the American South, while the war moves without him. Guadalcanal falls. Midway is won. The Solomons burn. Shomo watches from a training run sway in Texas, and, every man in his generation, somewhere he is not.
John.
In June of 1944, the orders finally come. He reports to the 82nd Tactical Reconnaissance Squadron.
He is 26 years old.
Now, before this story goes any further, there is something you need to know. Something the title did not tell you. There was not one P-51 Mustang over northern Luzon that morning.
There were 2.
And they were not standard P-51 fighters. They were F-6D Mustangs. The armed photo reconnaissance version, cameras mounted in the fuselage behind the pilot, guns retained in the wings. The ratio was not 13-1. It was 13-2. That is what the Medal of Honor citation says. That is what the mission report says. That is what the gun camera film later confirmed.
The truth is not smaller than the title.
The truth is larger, because neither pilot was an ace when the mission began. They were tactical reconnaissance pilots, flying camera-equipped Mustangs that retained their full fighter armament, and what happened to them over Luzon that morning was not supposed to be possible. The 82nd Tactical Reconnaissance Squadron did not exist to kill Japanese aircraft. It existed to take pictures of them. Its mission was intelligence. Pilots often operated at low altitude on hazardous reconnaissance missions. But their P-39s, P-40s, and later F-6 Mustangs were armed and could conduct strafing or air-to-air combat when required. Their aircraft in 1943, their aircraft in 1939 plans were the Bell P-39 Airacobra. The Airacobra carried a 37mm cannon through its propeller hub. On paper, it looked like a killer in Southwest Pacific conditions. The P-39 and P-40 lacked the range and high-altitude performance needed for many long-distance reconnaissance missions over Japanese-held territory. The P-40 Warhawk had the same problem.
Betro or Phoenix.
Good aircraft, wrong tools for a fight that was always somewhere else. Shomo flew photo missions along the New Guinea coast and onward toward the Philippines. Airstrip to then New Guinness. Airstrip.
Biak.
Photographing beaches. Photographing supply dumps. Strafing trucks. Strafing barges. Flying home. Intelligence officers. And filing the film with intelligence pilot felt about not seeing another airplane in the sky. Meanwhile, in the same theater, other men flew the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. Richard Bong, 40 confirmed kills, the highest scoring American ace of the entire war. Thomas McGuire,
38 kills.
second highest.
Dredge.
Chandra Cat Jet. McGuire will be killed in a P-38 over the Philippines. It's on the 7th January 1945 over Luzon, the same theater, in the same theaters, under the same command. Island chain. Two paths through the same war. Bong and McGuire in P-38s, Soapstone in pursuit squadrons, in combat almost every week. Shomo in an Airacobra, in a reconnaissance squadron in the empty sky. There is something else about William Shomo that most accounts leave out. Something that will matter later, when the story bends back on itself.
Before he flew for the Army.
William Shomo prepared the dead for burial. He did not do it as a summer job. He did not do it as a passing curiosity. He enrolled at the Pittsburgh School of Embalming. He then enrolled at the Cincinnati College of Embalming. He completed both programs between 1937 and 1940.
He worked in a funeral parlor.
He had a profession. He had a trade. He had, in the language of that time, a calling. The men who train to prepare the dead are not, as a rule, the men who volunteer to make more of them. There is nothing in the record that explains why William Shomo made the jump from the embalming room to the cockpit.
He never spoke about it publicly. His interviews, after the war, never touched it.
It is one of the quiet mysteries of his life, but the mystery will not stay quiet. Because in the summer of 1945, when the Army gives him a new aircraft, he will paint a name on the nose of that aircraft, and the name will be the Flying Undertaker.
Flying on, this is not a nickname.
Invented for a video title. It is documented. It is in the archives. William Shomo, who left the mortuary for the cockpit, will end the war flying an airplane named for the profession he left behind.
But
this is 1944, and the aircraft with that name does not exist yet, and the 6 minutes over Luzon have not happened. In December of 1944, everything changes. The 82nd Tactical Reconnaissance Squadron trades its Airacobras and its Warhawks for the F-6D Mustang.
Joth Naturis.
Range. Over 900 miles on internal fuel. Over 1,400 miles with drop tanks. Speed, 437 miles an hour at altitude. Firepower, 6 50 caliber machine guns in the wings. Cameras still there in the fuselage, behind the pilot.
Huh?
For the first time, the squadron has an aircraft fast that can reach Japanese airspace and come home. For the first time is not a mathematical impossibility.
Huh?
On the 24th of December, William Shomo takes command of the squadron. He is now the commanding officer. He is responsible for planning routes. He is responsible for assigning targets. He is responsible for the lives of every pilot who flies under his call sign. He has been in the war for 3.5 years, and he has never once fired his guns at an airplane in the sky. On the 1st of January, 1945, The squadron moves to Min 5, the Slanity Seth moves to Mindoro, an island off southwest coast of Luzon. American forces are about to Lingayen Gulf. The squadron's job is to support that landing with photo reconnaissance and armed sweeps of Japanese-held airfields to the north. On the 8th of January, Shomas leads a mission of 10 F-6D Mustangs and 6 P-40 Warhawks in a level sweep of Japanese positions at Carmen, Lingayen, Rosales,
and Baguio.
They destroy 19 trucks, 1 locomotive, an oil tank, 3 artillery pieces. They kill an unknown number of Japanese soldiers hiding in ditches along the road. Shomo will later be awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for this mission. He does not know that yet. He knows only that tomorrow morning the American Army will land at Lingayen Gulf.
What?
On January 9th, the Lingayen Gulf landings began. On January 10, during a reconnaissance mission over Tuguegarao, Shomo was credited with his first aerial victory. In roughly 100 combat missions since arriving in the Southwest Pacific, he has never fired his guns at an airplane in the sky. On this morning, over Tuguegarao, he sees one. The mission log records it as a dive bomber on final approach to land. The Japanese pilot never sees the Mustang behind him. Shomo closes. He fires.
The aircraft burns and falls short of the runway.
1 kill, scored against an enemy aircraft reportedly approaching or preparing to land near the airfield. It was his first credited aerial victory, but nothing in the surviving record establishes how Shomo personally evaluated the encounter. That night, at Mindoro, William Shomo lies in his tent.
Tomorrow, the same mission. The airfields at Aperi and Lauag. Photo reconnaissance.
Armed sweep, 2 F-6D. 6D Mustangs. Somewhere north of them, at an airfield the Americans have not yet reached, a Mitsubishi G-4M. Betty bomber is being fueled for a morning flight south.
12 fighters are being prepared to escort it. The American combat account identified the escort
as 12 Japanese fighters accompanying retellings, 1 twin-engine bomber. Later, retellings commonly described the fighters as 11 Kai-61 Tanis and 1 Kai-44 Tojo. Japanese pilot pilots do not know that 2 American Mustangs will be in the air at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. His pilots then wanted with more. He has been in war for 3 is his eyes. He has been ready for a long time.
Dominer.
Before you follow William Shomo to Klustai, you have to understand Shoman of the sky over Luzon. You have to understand something about the men he is about to fight. They are not the pilots who bombed Pearl pilots, who shot down the Flying Tigers over China. They are not the pilots who terrorized American carriers in the Coral Sea and off Guadalcanal.
Those men are dead.
Almost all of them, and the pilots climbing into cockpits at Japanese airfields that morning are the 3rd and 4th generation of a program that has been collapsing for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the war, in December of 1941, a Japanese Navy fighter pilot arrived at his first squadron with between 500 and 700 hours of flight time. Some, like Saburo Sakai, had more than 800. They had trained in the peacetime program. They had flown against instructors who had themselves flown in China. They had learned deflection, shooting on live targets. They knew their aircraft the way a violinist knows a Stradivarius. Then came Midway. 4 aircraft carriers lost in a single afternoon in June of 1942. And with them, the trained air crews of the finest naval aviation force in the Pacific. Then came Guadalcanal, 6 months of attrition over the Solomons that ground down what was left of the first generation. Then came Rabaul. Then came the Marianas Turkey Shoot in June of 1944, where American Hellcats destroyed more than 400 Japanese aircraft in 2 days. Then came Leyte Gulf in October. Then came the beginning of the kamikaze campaigns, which used pilots as one-way weapons and made the training crisis worse by burning through what few experienced flyers remained. Con through.
Isexel Chiro Japahisuri. Eastai.
Many Japanese replacement pilots entered operational units with substantially less training than their pre-war predecessors. Sometimes, although the totals varied widely by service, unit, and training period, some had less.
Fuel was rationed. Instructors were dead.
The training schools that just
Bear there.
By early 1945, the overall experience and training level of many Japanese replacement pilots had fallen sharply, although the individual experience of the pilots in this particular form pilots remains unknown. And they were being sent to war against a nation whose factories were producing 15 dirt and whose program was proving one prejudice. The imbalance were producing pilots. The imbalance was not moral. It was industrial. And it was industrial to be measured in the fight.
There is one more thing you have to understand before it begins.
The formation of 13 Japanese aircraft was not, as most retellings suggest, a strike package heading south to hit American troops. By the 11th of January, the Imperial Japanese forces were withdrawing air assets from the Philippines. Lingayen Gulf had fallen 2 days earlier.
The 6th Army was ashore.
The airfields at Apari, Lawag, and Tuguegarao were being evacuated. Japanese forces were attempting to preserve and reposition some surviving aircraft as the Allied advance continued, but the specific purpose and destination of the formation encountered by Shomo have not been conclusively established. That Betty bomber, cruising south at 2,500 feet with 12 fighter escorts, was almost certainly not on an attack mission. It was too heavily protected for a routine transport. Some later accounts have speculated that the bomber may have carried personnel or important cargo, but no surviving passenger list or Japanese mission record has confirmed that theory. The specific Japanese unit involved has never been conclusively identified in surviving records. The passenger list, if there was one, has never surfaced. The formation was reported flying south when Shomo encountered it, but its precise mission, destination, and intended target remain uncertain. And what is certain is that William Shomo, at 500 feet over the deck, did not know any of this. He looked up, and he saw 13 enemy aircraft, and the decision he made in the next 3 seconds was not romantic. Here is what the record shows. A few minutes past 9 in the morning, over the coastal terrain of northern Luzon, 2 F-6D Mustangs are flying north at 500 feet.
The lead aircraft
is Snooks the 5th, serial number 44414841. Captain William Shomo is in the cockpit. The wingman is a second lieutenant named Paul Lipscomb, whose personal records are thin, whose photograph rarely are thin, whose life before the peers in books, and whose life before the war is not readily accessible in the standard sources. Shomo looks up. He sees them.
He counts them. 12 Vicers on Alba.
Flying south. The formation was flying south, generally the direction of Allied held areas, but Shomo could not have known its exact destination or mission. That last detail is what matters. That is what makes the decision what it is. Shomo is not a fighter pilot chasing a personal ace. He is the commanding officer of a reconnaissance squadron whose photographs and reports have been feeding into the intelligence picture for the Lingayen operation for 2 weeks. He knows what is on those beaches. He knows what a 13 aircraft crash formation whatever its purpose, could do to unloading transports at anchor. If it turned, he keys the radio and tells Lipscomb they are attacking. There is no debate. There is no hesitation. There is the captain of a reconnaissance squadron making a tactical judgment that the threat above him must be engaged.
The Medal of Honor citation later recoursed. Ordered the moment in 5 words.
Immediately ordered an attack. Now the aircraft. Because the aircraft matter, and because the men in the American cockpits and the Democ's cockpits are not fighting on equal terms. The Kawasaki Ki-61 Tony is Japan's only inline-engined fighter of the war. Its power plant, the Kawasaki Ha-40, is a licensed derivative of the German Daimler-Benz DB601. It is a beautiful design on paper. In practice, by January of 1945, the Ha-40 is a maintenance nightmare. The tolerances are too tight for Japanese wartime materials. Serviceability rates for Ki-61 squadrons are running low.
Jetcher.
Many of the Tonys on any given airfield are grounded for engine problems. The ones in the air are flying with engines that could seize at any moment.
30 Chur.
The Nakajima Ki-44 Tojo is faster, 375 miles an hour, better climb rate. Designed as an interceptor, dangerous in a straight fight if the pilot knows how to use it.
There is only one Tojo in the formation over Luzon that morning.
The Mitsubishi 1 Civ Range G4M Betty is a long-range naval bomber. Twin engines, good range, almost no armor. The fuel tanks are integral to the wing structure and unprotected by self-sealing rubber. American pilots call it a Zippo lighter because it burns on the first pass. The Betty has defensive guns in the nose, in the top,
That are chase.
in the tail, and in 2 waist positions. There has no ventral gun. The North American FMS 6D Mustang in the 2 American cockpits is a P-51D with aerial cameras installed in the fuselage behind the pilot.
Joe?
It retains all 6 50 caliber machine guns in the wings. It retained the P-51D's 6 machine guns, and most of its fighter performance, although the camera installation added equipment and weight. It carries the same Packard-built Rolls-Royce Merlin V1615 FAPTI-7 engine, the same laminar flow wing, the same bubble canopy.
Delerge?
437 miles an hour at 25,000 feet. A dive limit that no Japanese fighter of the war can match. There is one more advantage, one that no one has thought about, and it is going to matter in the next 30 seconds. The F-6D is new to the Pacific Theater. It arrived in December.
Japanese pilots have seen a P-38 Lightnings.
For 2 years. Seps. They have not altitudes. They have not seen many Mustangs. Surprise to know and the Japanese Shomo's approach may have delayed the Japanese reaction, but the surviving evidence does not establish whether they failed to identify the Mustangs.
Jet?
We do not know for certain why the Japanese formation did not react to the 2 aircraft climbing behind them. We do not have Japanese pilot memoirs from that flight. We have 3 men who escaped into cloud, and their debriefs, if they ever happened, are lost. What we have is Shomo's account.
And
Shomo's account says, did not progress,
break?
did not maneuver until his first burst went home. William Shomo pulls the stick of Snooks the 5th into a claving turn, an Immelman, up and over. He gains 2,000 feet of altitude while reversing his direction of flight. Lipscomb follows on his wing.
Thorough?
Gayporn denounces Irmerdiman. The 2 Mustangs come out of the Immelman behind the Japanese formation. Shomo fires. Shomo's opening destroyed the first fighter before the Japanese formation could organize an effective response. The convergence pattern of 6 machine guns at that range once delivers so much lead into a single point that the airframe simply comes apart in the air. Pieces of wing tumble back through the formation. Pieces of fuselage. The fighter was destroyed during the surprise opening attack. Shomo shifts his aim to the second element.
Doe.
The wingman of the aircraft he has just destroyed. He fires again. The second Tony catches fire and falls away. 2 aircraft down in less than 3 seconds.
Judder.
Now, the formation breaks. The Japanese pilots realize what is happening. They begin to react. But their reactions are individual, not coordinated. Some pull left, some pull right, some dive.
Duro prejudice.
Some climb. The neat escort formation dissolves into 11 separate airplanes trying to survive. Shomo moves to the left side of the formation. He picks a third aircraft. He fires. The Tony explodes. 3 kills. The Japanese still have numbers.
Seth of Ilecher.
If they can turn into numerical advantage, if they can use their numerical advantage, they can still win this fight. Shomo does not give them time. He crosses to the right side of the disintegrating formation. He finds a 4th Tony. He fires. The aircraft explodes and drops. 4. The Betty is diving away, losing altitude, trying to escape. 2 Tony fighters are staying with it. Even as the formation collapses around them, those two pilots are protecting their bomber. Shomo rolls Snooks the 5th inverted. He pulls the stick back through neutral into a split S.
The Mustang carves through a half-loop from the inverted position, coming out below and behind the diving Betty.
He is now underneath the bomber, in the one place where the Betty has no guns pointing. He fires into the belly of the fuselage. He fires into belly, catches fire. The fuel tanks in the wings, unprotected, unarmored,
begin to burn. Lecher Olveles.
The pilot is fighting the control to something like crash land team.
Oh,
like a survivable crash landing. 5 kills. Shomo pulls up out of the split S. The Nakajima Ki-44 Tojo comes down on him from above. The interceptor, the dangerous one. The Japanese pilot has been waiting, has been maneuvering, has finally found his moment. The Tojo fires. Tracer rounds pass close to the Mustang's canopy. Shomo hauls Snooks the 5th into a tight vertical spiral, climbing corkscrew, pulling every G the airframe will take. During the confused engagement, Shomo successfully evaded an attacking Japanese fighter and continued pressing his attack. The surviving official citation does not provide enough detail to reconstruct the fighter's exact maneuver or fate. The Japanese pilot loses control.
The interceptors.
The interceptor slipped sideways, out.
Fight.
Below. Whether it recovered, whether the pilot survived, whether it counted as survived, whether it counted as a kill, none of it mattered in the next second. The threat was gone. Below him, the Betty completes its final descent. The pilot cannot hold it.
The bomber slams into the ground and erupts.
That rolls across the terrain. Now the 2 Ki-61 escorts, the ones who had stayed loyal to the bomber, break away. They fly low. They fly fast. They are heading for open sky, for cloud cover, for anywhere that is not here. Shomo rolls into a dive. He catches the first one at 300 feet above the ground. Short burst. The Tony crashes in flames. 6. He stays in the dive. He goes lower. He is now flying at treetop level over northern Luzon, chasing the last of the runners. The second, Tony, is at full throttle, going flat out, trying to disappear into the terrain. Shomo closes. He fires.
The Cheb.
The Tony goes down burning. 7. Somewhere above him, 3 Japanese aircraft have found the cloud layer and are running for Formosa.
They will make it.
3 Japanese aircraft escape the engagement, but their subsequent route? landing place, and reports as this are not established in the surviving record. 13 aircraft attacked.
3 destroyed. Atnar 30 said. 10 destroyed. 3 survived.
That report, whatever it said, has never surfaced in the archives. Shomo pulls Snooks the Fifth into a climb. He checks his fuel. He checks his ammunition. He has burned less than a casnafting of gasoline, and he has plenty of rounds left in the wings. The engagement has lasted less than 6 minutes. He looks for Lipscomb. Lipscomb is above him. His Mustang is intact. 3 smoke columns on the ground mark the places where Lipscomb has done his own work.
Japton's ledger.
Lipscomb credited with destroying 3 Japanese fighters during the engagement, an achievement for which he received the Distinguished Service Cross. 2 American aircraft, 13 Japanese aircraft, 10 destroyed, no American casualties. No damage that will keep either Mustang from flying home. To put that in the context of the entire American air war, Shomo's 7 victories placed him 7 victories in a single mission, placed him among the highest scoring day aerial engagement, although several other American aviators also recorded 7 or more victories during a single mission or day.
Oh, Navy?
Commander David McCampbell, Portsnoy. On the 24th of October, 1940 Gulf, one like it during the Battle of Morav Prejudice, downed 9 Japanese aircraft as probables. But McCampbell was already an ace. When that mission began, he had 21 victories to his name. He had years of combat experience.
Done or done.
He knew what he was doing because he had done it many times before. William Shomo, on the 11th of January, 1945, had exactly 1 prior aerial victory. A dive bomber on final approach 48 hours earlier. He was not accumulating a career. He was compressing it, turned Snooks the Fifth south toward Mindoro, and Snooks the Fifth south toward Mindoro, and the 2 Mustangs began the flight. Shomo Mustangs began flight home, had time to think on about what he had just done. He also had time to think about what he was going to say when he landed, because he already knew. Nobody was going to believe him. The flight home took roughly 40 minutes. Ocean and coastline, and the steady rumble of a Merlin engine at cruise power. Set, time enough for William Shomo to run the fight back through his mind, kill by kill, and to understand that no report he wrote, no matter how carefully rephrased Luntz Zurette, was going to be believed by the first man who read it.
Bolech, Bolber, Cross?
Mingon Gulf, below him, the ships he had been protecting were still there, still loading, still unloading, still safe. Mindoro was ahead, he radioed. The field reported 2 Mustangs inbound, no damage, no casualties, 10 enemy aircraft destroyed. The report was met with silence on the tower frequency.
Dern Chelligers.
Then landing clearance. Shomo touched down at Mindoro before noon. He taxied to the squadron area. He shut down the engine. He opened the canopy. Ground crew were already running toward the aircraft. Hawaiian crew wadron running toward the aircraft. He wanted to know what had happened. He wanted the gun camera for film.
He wanted the story. All of it. Borijo, Ibolvain, Shomo, I've told him.
The camera footage was developed that afternoon. Gun camera evidence and the pilot's conf of the victories helped some compression of victories, though available public records do not establish. That one camera captured every moment of the engagement. Frame by frame, the footage showed what Shomo had described. The first Tony coming apart in the air at close range. The second one burning. The third exploding. The Betty catching fire. The 2 escorts running low and dying at 300 feet. 7 confirmed kills for the flight leader. 3 confirmed kills for the wingman. The film did not argue. By the end of the day, the report was official, and here is where the story turns on a statistic that no one who tells it usually mentions. William Shomo flew 203 combat missions during the Second World War, from June of 1944 through the end of the war. Shomo completed 203 combat missions and received credit for 8 aerial victories, 7 of them during the January 11 engagement. 7 of Shomo's 8 credited aerial victories occurred during a single extraordinary engagement. 7 of those 8 kills happened in one engagement.
On one morning,
over northern Luzon.
This is not the record of an accumulating fighter ace. Concepts?
Richard Bong flew for years, saw hundreds of Japanese aircraft, engaged them again and again, and finished the war with 40 confirmed kills across dozens of engagements. Nibon Anastadsil Tyne, Taprost Maguire. Before he died over the Philippines on the 7th of January, had flown constantly, seen the enemy constantly, and built his 38 kills. Had 21 victories before the day he added time. These were men.
In the fight, William Shomo did not live.
He lived on the edge of it, in a photo reconnaissance squadron, without an enemy in his gunsight, mission after mission after mission. And when the fight finally came to him, one time, for 6 minutes, in a specific arrangement of altitude and geometry and Japanese pilots, too green to recognize an F&D Mustang closing from below, he executed almost flawlessly. This is not the story of a great fighter pilot.
Yeah.
This is the story of a professional aviator who prepared for a moment that almost never came, and who, when it came, was ready for it. Everything else in his combat career was ordinary. This one morning was not. And the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary was not talent alone.
Word
left the 82nd Squadron within hours. 5th Air Force Headquarters received the report by the end of the day. General George Kenney, the Theater Air Commander, read it. General Douglas MacArthur's staff was briefed. Recommendations for the Medal of Honor began moving through the chain of command within days.
The
Medal of Honor, it's Guxis. It is reserved for actions, decoration, above and beyond the ordinary demands of duty. Shomo was recommended for the Medal of Honor for leading the medal attack despite overwhelming odds and personally destroying 7 enemy aircraft during the engagement.
By the time
the Medal of Honor was formally presented, the Medal of Honor was Shomo held the rank of Major General NSC. Whitehead presented the decoration during a ceremony. The ceremony was brief. Military. A citation read aloud. Photographs taken. The medal presented.
Shomo
standing at attention. The son of Jeanette, Pennsylvania. A former mortician, holding the ribbon at his throat and the pale blue field of stars against his chest. The citation used a phrase that has followed the story ever since. It called the action unparalleled in the Southwest Pacific area. Now here is where the story bends back on itself. The F-6D Mustang that carried Shomo through the fight, Snooks the 5th, serial number 44-14841, did not survive the war. It was later lost while being flown by another pilot on another mission. The specific circumstances of its loss are not well documented in surviving records. Snooks the 5th was later removed from service, or lost while assigned to another pilot, but the publicly available record does not clearly establish the exact circumstances. He was assigned a replacement, another F-6D Mustang, serial number 44-72505.
Sip.
Later photographs associate Shomo with another Mustang, the name the Flying Undertaker, a reference to his carrying the name the Flying Undertaker, a reference to his pre-war funeral profession. The precise chronology of its relationship to aircraft named Snooks the Sixth should be stated only when supported by aircraft records or dated photographs.
There is no interview in which William Shomo explains why. There is no letter. There is no memoir.
He rarely spoke about his war.
Journey sip, the journeys.
But the man who had studied at the Pittsburgh School of Embalming and the Cincinnati College of Embalming, who prepared the dead for burial as a young man in Pennsylvania, chose, at the end of the war, to fly an airplane that named him for the profession he had left behind. The circle closed.
The mortician
had become a pilot who killed men in the sky, and now the pilot flew an airplane that admitted, in painted letters on aluminum, what he had become. He never explained it. Perhaps he did not need to. Perhaps the name was the explanation. There is one more name in this story that deserves more than history has given it.
Second Lieutenant Paul Lipscomb
Was in the cockpit of the second Mustang that morning. He engaged the Japanese formation alongside Shomo. He shot down 3 Kawasaki Ki-61 Tonys during the fight. His 3 kills were confirmed by the same gun camera footage that confirmed Shomo's 7.
3 kills in a single mission against escort enemy fighters
on the first real air-to-air combat of his career. He was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions that morning. The Distinguished Service Cross is the second highest decoration the Army can present. It is one step below the Medal of Honor. 3 kills in one mission would have been the story of the year for almost any other pilot in the Pacific. But 3 kills in Shomo's shadow became a footnote. The publicly available records on Paul Lipscomb are unusually thin. His birth date, his hometown, his pre-war life, his post-war life are not readily accessible in the standard sources.
He did not write a memoir.
He did not, as far as any archive shows, give interviews about the mission. He appears in the records as a name attached to a Distinguished Service Cross citation, and then he disappears from the historical narrative almost completely.
Letcher,
a researcher who wanted to tell the full story of that morning, would need to go into personnel files, into unit records, into local archives, to find out who Paul Lipscomb was before the war and what happened to him after it. That work has not been done, at least not in any source available to the general public.
Dunlebs,
the man who shot down 3 Bombers, who shot down 3 Japanese in aircraft, in the biggest one-sided fight of Shomo's life, is, in the archives, almost silent. His name deserves to be spoken. Second Lieutenant Paul Lipscomb, wingsman, 3 confirmed kills, Distinguished Service Cross, the Philippines, the 11th of January, 1945.
Whatever else
the historians do. He was there, and he fought, and he came home. William Shomo stayed in the military. After the war ended, when the Army Air Forces became the United States Air Force in 1947, he transitioned to the new service. He was promoted to lieutenant colonel on the 20th of February.